Hi.
Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. If you are brand new here, my name is Nikki and this is my book nook. If you are not brand new here, do you notice anything different about my set? I'll give you a second. I got a new green couch. I know it's a radical change. I'm still processing it myself. I know it might take you a minute and I understand, but we'll get through it together. She's a new and improved version of the book nook couch. We love her, but anyways, guys, today we are talking about The Spectacular Now by Tim Tharp. And okay, let's just talk for a second. We all know what's been happening recently in the world, on the TikTok world especially. We have all, myself included, been thrown straight first back into our Miles Teller phase. Top Gun, Maverick. I've seen it twice. I think I'm gonna go see it again. I was a big fan of Top Gun. I was a big fan of Miles Teller for a very long time now. Combining the two, seeing it all come together, couldn't be more obsessed. I'm fully invested, and in this process of really getting back into Miles Teller, I never stopped. I've been crushing on him for many years, since Divergent, since Footloose, since The Spectacular Now. Like, I've been feeling him, but Top Gun, whole new story. Anyways, I've been kind of like going back and looking at all his old movies, watching some new stuff with him in it that like I didn't realize he was in, and one of those movies of his that have always stuck out to me is The Spectacular Now. I've watched this movie a couple of times, but it's been many, many years. I think it's like nearly 10 years old now, and I hadn't watched it in a super long time. I always really liked the movie. I loved Miles Teller in the movie, and while I was in the process of posting spamming really Miles Teller all over my Bookstagram, I had one of my followers, Sophia, if you're watching this, she swiped up and she was like, oh my god, I loved him in The Spectacular Now, and like the book was even better than the movie. And I was like, whoa, hold up. I didn't know it was based off a book. I didn't know. I never realized that. I don't know why. I just didn't know. And right when she said that, I was like, okay, I'm interested. I want to go read it. I don't remember all the details of the movie. Like, there are certain key parts that stuck out to me, but overall, like the story, I didn't remember. So I'm like, this is a perfect time for me to go and read that book. I had to hunt down to the ends of the earth the original cover of this book, because every book that I could find like had the movie cover, which we love Miles, but I can't stand movie covers. I can't stand TV covers. They just like upset me, and I just wanted to find this one. So I had to get it from like a thrift bookstore on eBay. Not important, but anyways, I read this book. It's not that long. It's very old. I think it came out in like 2008. I guess it's not like very old, but for us, I mean, it's been out for like 15-ish years, maybe more than that. Math is hard, but like, she's an older book, and I don't mind that. In all honesty, recently I've been kind of like in a weird reading phase where I've read a lot of stuff like I like, but I don't know, I'm just like looking for something different, looking for a different kind of vibe, and this gave me everything that I could want, pretty much. I just want to give you guys like the spoiler-free synopsis of this, like I always do in these book reviews, and then I definitely need to dive a little deeper because there's a lot to this book, a lot to this story, and just a lot of things that I want to talk about, like so many thoughts running through my head, and that's what this channel is for. So if you haven't read it yet, stop when I tell you to. I'm gonna say when spoilers are coming. Don't get mad at me, but yeah, let's get into it. So this entire story follows and is told through the point of view of this teenage boy named Sutter. I really like that name. Side note, not important, but never heard it before outside of this book and this movie, and I think it's really cute. Anyways, Sutter is a teenager. He's about to go into his senior year of high school, and he is a very interesting character. To be straight up honest, he's an alcoholic. He's a teenage alcoholic. He really just kind of flies by the seat of his pants. He has like kind of a tough family situation. His dad isn't really present in his life. His mom has since remarried. His sister is older than him and now out of the house. She's kind of always been like the golden child. She's now married off to like a super rich man, and Sutter is just a little bit lost in life. He kind of feels like he's floating through it, but he doesn't think it's really a negative thing. He's kind of just a person that he's like the fun guy. He's the party guy. He's the class clown. He lives day by day. He doesn't really ever think of consequences or the future or anything other than like what is happening with himself in this present moment. And because of that, Sutter is really popular in school, honestly. He has a lot of friends. A lot of people really like him. He's like the life of the party. Every party wants to have Sutter Keeley at their party. But one thing that Sutter really struggles with is relationships, especially romantic relationships, because so many girls like are attracted to him, like him, love that he's so fun, but he's kind of never the guy that a girl stays with. Like, they like him, they're into him, they're with him for a while, and then eventually it always inevitably leads to the same thing where they just don't see a future with him. They don't see more to him than just like a fun guy to hang out with. And that's something that, you know, again, he knows who he is and he's confident in himself and he likes who he is, but that is something that kind of like always strikes him like, huh, like what's up with that? Like, why can't I keep a girl? And at the start of this story, he's kind of found himself in the same situation with his current girlfriend, Cassidy. She's basically dumping him for the exact same reason. They've been together for like 8 months now, but she's like, I just don't see this going any further. Like, our relationship is at a certain point. You're super fun, but like, you know, we're about to be seniors. We're gonna go to college. Like, I just don't see this going long term with you. I don't see you like sticking it out. So Sutter is now in this predicament of he really wants to get this girlfriend back, but at the same time, he's like, you know, kind of depressed about it. So he's like out partying more than ever, and kind of simultaneously as he's going through the motions of trying to get this girlfriend back, he's off partying, and he ends up finding himself waking up one morning, not knowing where he is. He's literally like in somebody's front yard. His vision's all blurry. He opens his eyes and there's this girl standing above him that he vaguely recognizes named Amy Finicky. She goes to school with Sutter and they are not at all a part of the same crowd. Like I said, Sutter is like really popular, kind of the class clown. He really stands out from the crowd, where Amy really kind of like, you know, hides in the back of the crowd. Like, I don't want to say she's nerdy, but you know, she's just really good at school. She's really quiet. She really keeps to herself. She, you know, has like a job. She works every morning with her mom. Like, she's just like, again, a very different crowd from Sutter, and he doesn't feel at all romantically attracted to her, but she kind of saves him in this situation, and he feels like he really sees her for the first time because he's never really noticed her in school. And Sutter feels this obligation to sort of help Amy. Like, he learns a lot about her very quickly, that she is, you know, really a pushover. She has a lot of big dreams, but she lets, you know, everybody else's happiness sort of come before her own. She doesn't stand up for herself. Like, her friends kind of run all over her. Her mom runs all over her. Like, she just has so much potential, but she doesn't allow herself to live life to the fullest. So Sutter kind of feels the need to like help this girl out, and he wants to like, I don't know, give her a little like Sutter man makeover is kind of like what he would call it. So this story is really kind of interesting. It's told in a very like, in the way it's written, if you've ever read Looking for Alaska by John Green, I feel like these stories are super similar, where like there is a plot, but a lot of it is just like these kids in high school and like going to parties and going to class and like hanging out on the weekends. Like, there's a lot of just like, I don't want to say random scenes, but it's a lot of like random scenes that make it feel really real and authentic, and Sutter himself felt really real and authentic. And you know, obviously him and Amy grow closer over this time, but at the same time he still thinks he has his sights set on Cassidy, and it's really a roller coaster of things. There's a lot of like character development between each of them. There's some different side stories happening, and you know, an ultimate sort of lead up to everything. And that's kind of where the spoiler-free part of this ends. I will say before you go, if you're gonna click out of here because you don't want spoilers, I loved this book. I loved it so much. Again, it gave me major John Green vibes. I think that a lot of people will not like the ending of this book, but I'm just gonna say right now, I loved it. I'm still thinking about it. I flew through it really fast. I thought it was really beautiful, and again, it just had these vibes of like these early 2000s like cozy high schooler vibes. I don't know, it was just good, and I liked Sutter. He was so incredibly frustrating, but I think there was a lot of rawness and realness to him, and you really got to see inside of his head. And Amy too was like an interesting character, and they each brought out different things in each other that each of them needed. Like, it was just really, really good. And it's one of those books, if you guys know me at all, you know that I'm all about like the way to live life and figuring that out, and books that talk about that and what's really important and where you're going, and just stressing out about things I don't have control over. And this book really talks about that. It talks about like relationships and how people can be good for each other or really like each other but not be the best thing for each other, and you know, just things like that. Timing, people, relationships, life, goals, dreams. It really touches on all of it in like just a really interesting kind of funny way. Like, I laughed out loud several times with this book. I got real sad at certain parts. Like, there's just a lot of like real issues throughout it, and it was really, really good. So I totally recommend it, especially if you're into John Green, those types of vibes. But yeah, now I wanna dig a little deeper and talk more about this with spoilers. So if you've read this book, you obviously know what happens. You know that Sutter has his sights set on Cassidy, and that's really his goal, is to get back with her, but that they really realize between each other that they're not meant to be more than friends. They want different things in life. It's just not right, so they're just going to stay friends, and that he really, even though he isn't initially attracted to Amy, has no intention of going after her, he finds himself liking her, and they find themselves sort of like falling into this pattern and, you know, becoming a couple. And initially he again is just doing it to help her because he feels like he owes her something, but after a while he starts to see like all these things about her that are so special, and you know, realizes how much she deserves and how she's not like allowing herself to live to her full potential and follow her dreams and all this stuff. And we see how, you know, again, like I was just saying, how this book is really about relationships and how people can be really good for each other and lift each other up, but they can also, I just feel like any relationship you're in, you're gonna like absorb qualities of that other person in one way or another. Like, it's just kind of how it works. If you're spending time with someone all the time, like, you're gonna adapt each other's traits. You kind of have to for a relationship to work. And you know, Sutter, I feel like if you just initially look at this book on surface level, it looks like Amy's just adopting a bunch of these really like bad qualities that Sutter has, right? Like, he's a big drinker, like he's not super responsible, like he doesn't care a lot about his grades, and he just lives in the moment, and he's a little bit reckless. So you can look at it like, okay, Amy, as she gets with him, she starts drinking a little bit more, like her grades go down, like she's not as focused, she's not like helping her mom all the time like she's supposed to. But if you dig a little deeper, it's like Sutter really teaches Amy in a lot of ways to stick up for herself. She lets people run all over her. She doesn't even consider her dreams. Like, she has dreams, she has things she wants to do, but she's like, no, it's not gonna happen. Like, I just have to be here for my mom. Like, Sutter really talks her out of that and pushes her to like be everything that she can be. And in turn, even though it's really subtle, Amy changes Sutter as well. Like, at the end of the day, she makes him a lot more thoughtful person. Like, his main issue, and the issue that Cassidy sort of drills into his head, is that he doesn't really think about other people, and he just, you know, focuses on the now, right? The spectacular now, and that's all he cares about, and he can't see a future. And even though the book ends in a way that I think will upset a lot of people, look, it's one of those books where you finish it, you get to the last page, and you're like, wait, what? Like, there's no way that's the end, right? Like, there has to be more to this. And then you sit there kind of fuming for a few minutes, and a lot of people would probably just continue to fume and hate the way this book ended, but such a hot take. I loved the ending of this book, and I love books that end in this way. And I don't want to keep bringing up John Green, but that is very much a John Green thing too that I love so much, because bro, real life doesn't have perfect endings tied up in a bow where you know everything that's gonna happen. Like, it's not like that. Life is a forever continuous thing, and you never know what's gonna happen. Like, you can try to plan for things, you can want things, you can have goals, but like, life is gonna happen and you just don't know. So the way that it ends, obviously, is it's like Sutter and Amy have been together throughout this time. Amy has really fallen for Sutter, and she has decided to follow her dreams, but she wants him to come with her and go and move to St. Louis with her, go to college with her. Obviously, those plans go a little bit awry because Sutter is not graduating at the same time as her. He's gonna do summer school, and we see Sutter start to realize, you know, that he's not the best thing for Amy. She really pushes him to go and find his dad, which is something that he didn't want to do. He didn't have any interest in. He was kind of afraid to find out the truth, and she pushed him to do that. And even though it was really a sad, awful thing finding out that his dad really was an asshole all this time, it's something that he really needed to see. And you know, you have to realize, if he never would have gotten with Amy, he never would have done that. He never would have taken that plunge. She pushed him to do that. And now that he knows, you know, he's kind of a better person because of it. And I think in a way it kind of opened his eyes a little bit. You might finish the book thinking like, oh, because the way it ends with him just going to a bar, you know, making it clear that he's not gonna be with Amy and he's just gonna let her go. Like, I think a lot of people would think on the surface, again, like, oh, he's just a loser, like he's just gonna let her go, he's just gonna keep screwing up. But it's like, you have to remember, they're 18 years old in this book. They're literally high school seniors. Nobody has their life figured out at 18. And as much as we all want a happy ending, and we probably all wish that Sutter ran after Amy and begged him to wait for her at college, like, no, he didn't need to do that. I mean, he was completely right in saying that Amy in this moment was better off without him. She did not need to wait for him. You could tell that she had never had a boyfriend before and she had become entirely too dependent on him. And, you know, she had put all her eggs in one basket, and she said several times things that basically showed that all she cared about and all she was thinking about was Sutter. And like, you can't do that in your stage, like that stage of your life. When you're 18, when you're just going to college, I mean, some people make it work. I'm not gonna speak for everyone, but I think that's such a crucial time in your life to really just like figure out who you are. It's so cliche, but find yourself, explore, see what you like. And it's really hard to do that when you've just tied yourself to one thing or one person and just, you know, it's like putting an anchor on yourself, you know? Like, this is Amy's time. She finally got away from her parents. She's got some independence. She's following her dreams, you know? And if Sutter comes back into the picture later on, that's great, but he was not what she needed in her life at that exact time. And he knew that. And for the first time in this entire book, in his entire life, he was able to think about somebody other than himself and what he wanted. And that's really the whole point. They each have their own character development. They each were what they needed in that time, and they both changed each other for the better. And you know, there's a good chance down the road, Sutter will get his shit together, they'll cross paths again, and everyone will live happily ever after. But the way that it ended was perfect, in my opinion. And a lot of people might disagree, but yeah, I think this is a book that really, if you just read it for what it is, you might, I don't know, like, I just think it's a lot deeper than it appears. And I just finished this yesterday, and it's like I've had like an entire day practically to process it, and the more I think about it, the more I'm like, whoa, like, Sutter's just such a goofy character that you just don't think much of it. And he's just kind of like that fun party guy, but there's just a lot to this story, and I just absolutely loved it. It really just like scratched an itch I don't think I knew needed to be scratched. I suppose that's a weird way to say it, but I feel like it's just true. It was a fun switch up to what I've been reading, and I really, really liked it. And if you're weird like me and you like kind of deeper things, meaning of life sort of books that just are very raw and real, and not all, like, if you're looking for something different than just like a flowery rom-com happily ever after sort of book, which sometimes we need a break from those, really we do. I would seriously consider trying this Spectacular now and then watch the movie after, because the movie is really good as well. The ending of the movie is a little bit different than the ending of this, because, you know, it's a movie and they gotta please the crowd. But yes, that is it for me today. If you guys have read this Spectacular now, I would love to hear all your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will talk to you very soon. Bye.